So, ladies and gentlemen, we are pleased to introduce two teams in Bangalore. Please welcome the visitor team, Czech Republic, on the field. First, let me introduce you to the coaches. Hlavní trenér Martin, trenér Viktorina a poslední Pavel Čech a zbytek coacheského týmu. A nyní mi dovolte představit line-up českých hráček. Jako první s číslem 23 na 3. metře Vernika Vojtová. Jako další s číslem 11 na 7 metře Aleta Mlendová. Jako další s číslem 25 centrofil Barbara Savojová. Jako další s číslem 21 Keču Michala Protektová. Jako další číslem 25 Čelko Lavoničková. Jako další číslem 47 druhá meta Gabriela Savá. Jako další číslem 43 pravé pole Eliša Pejková. Jako další číslem 29 Jiří Eliša Panová. Jako další číslem 18 první meta Jana Pujková. A navazovatelka číslem 15 Kateřina Pěknová. Další hráčky jsou číslem 9 Veronika Pecková, číslem 8 Anna Bolová, číslem 15 Magdalena Karová, číslem 27 Michala Činová, číslem 24 Andrea Kovačka a číslem 13 Amálie Kolková. And now I will be pleased to introduce Team Australia. With the goalkeeper first. Okay, the players first. First, with number 17, left field, Olivier. With number 21, second base, Xavier right field. With number 65, catcher, Tyler Tizigonis. With number 32, third base, Taylor Buckman. With number 88, third base, George Evans. With number 1, center field, Dave Wall. With number 79, designated player, Jeff Green. With number 22, shortstop, Diego. With number 11, right field, Sean Peters. And the pitcher with number 53, Sandra Lang. And the substitutes for the game are with number 12, Steve Patterson, with number 6, Aaron Roberts, with number 22, Kaya Bernabach, with number 26, Sophie Robinson, with number 24, Stefan Zielinski, and with number 66, Taylor Stewart. And now the coaches, head coach, Tim Porter, another coach, Xavier Ware, and the last coach, Benjamin Jones, and the rest of the coaching team and staff. And now please raise and listen to the national anthem of both teams, starting with visitor team Czechia. And now we will listen to the national anthem of Australia.
One game down, 18 left to play, and the WBSC Women's Softball World Cup and the journey to the LA 2028 Olympic Games is already off to a hot start. We pick up the action here at Svoboda Ballpark in Prague as the host Czechia opens play against the team that will host the finals, Australia. My name is Chris Knobloch, and my broadcast partner Tim Collins and I are privileged to bring you all the action from Group Prague. Action that started with an instant classic earlier today as Canada defeated Italy 11-10 in 8 innings. And Tim, you had the play-by-play call for that game. It was a fantastic start to Group Prague.
Yeah, we expected close contests in this game, and that's exactly what we got. That game didn't have a decision after 7 innings. We needed to play extra softball just to figure out who was going to win. And these two teams here, you know, on paper, it's kind of hard to compare them because Czech Republic has not played in a World Cup in quite a long time. And Australia obviously made it to the finals in 2024, finishing 7th, while Czech recently finished 5th in the European Championships. But when you look at the types of players they actually match up very well. They have a young pitcher, Katarina Kindermanova, who will be pitching today. And Australia, they have met in the Canada Cup in the past, and Czechia has won against actually not only Australia, but they've also won against 2 other teams in this group in that tournament. So they have shown that they can step it up a notch here in their home ballpark against some of the international competition that they don't get many chances to see.
As attention turns to Australia, Czechia, and thank you, Tim, for that whirlwind tour of our first 4 teams in action. Let's give you the lineup as tonight's hosts, who are the road team, play their first World Championship match since the 24th of August in 2016. That is 3,614 days ago. Here is the starting lineup for Czechia, the visitors and hosts of Group Prague. Veronika Klimpova will bat leadoff. She will play third base. She'll be followed by Aneta Molintova, the left fielder, batting second. Barbara Saviola will bat third and play center field, followed by Michaela Smechka-Peklova, the catcher. In the 5 spot, Emma Vachikova, the shortstop. She'll be followed by Gabriela Slaba, the second baseman. In the 7 spot, Eliska Stechaklova, the right fielder. She'll be followed by Eliska Slaninova, the designated player. And they will be followed by the captain, Jana Furkova. She will be over at first base. Doing the pitching for Czechia will be Katarina Kindermanova, getting her first start here of Group Prague. Defensive alignment for Australia from left to right across your screen. Olivia Elliott will play in left, Jade Wall in center, and Shannon Keevers over in right. Around the horn, starting at the hot corner, Shaylin Watman is at third base. Myra Giros is at short. Tamika Whitefield will play second base, and Georgia Hood is over at first. Taylor Tiscaronis, who is serving as the captain for this Group Prague, will do the catching for Kendra Lamb, making her 50th appearance in an Aussie Spirit uniform tonight. And coming off a 1-1 record at the World Games, a 2.40 ERA, 3 starts, 4 games total, 11 2/3 innings pitched for her, 10 strikeouts, 8 runs, only 4 earned, however.
Yeah, she's a very experienced pitcher. She also spent 2026 pitching in the Taiwanese Women's Professional League. And at the World Games, you mentioned it, she had an ERA of under 3 in over 11 innings pitched. And at the 24 World Cup, an ERA just around 3 in about 10 innings. She is really originally from Kurrajong, New South Wales. And she will be toeing the slab in the circle as this game is about to begin. The home plate umpire is Galip Somnes from Germany. Renzo Ruiz from Mexico is on the first base line. Jiling Yu of China is manning the second base position, and Dennis Cotarini from Italy is the third base umpire. As we had all the pregame ceremonies, there's a big crowd on hand here in Prague at the top of the hill here in Svoboda Park. Absolutely beautiful location. The weather has also been seemingly every 5 minutes something completely different. Now it's looking pretty beautiful with some blue skies in straightaway center field, but the lights are on anyway.
Lights are on, and it's warmed up quite a bit. It's now 23 degrees Celsius, about 73 Fahrenheit for those in the old ways. And this, one of the most intriguing matchups we have here in the first round, the only matchup between host nations. Now, Australia has the automatic bid, either as the wild card or by winning this pool, to the 2027 finals. That will be in Redcliffe, Australia, in Queensland, up north, about 45 minutes away from Brisbane at the Kayo Stadium. 10,000-seat arena being converted to softball from rugby for that event. all that said, I asked Carrie Porter a very simple question, the head coach of Australia. She had said in an earlier interview that this is a selection event for Australia. She answered me with 4 words: we're here to win.
So she made it absolutely clear, and she also followed that up with another phrase, which I think was very telling of the attitude that she brings as she is now taken over the reins from Lang Harrow with the national team. She said, success breeds success. And that's a brilliant attitude to have, especially when you're in a situation like this where, yeah, technically you could just try a bunch of stuff and see what happens because you know you're going to be in one way or the other. But at the same time, do you really want to go in on the international stage and to sort of phone it in? I don't think so.
Absolutely not. And it has to be said that Australia's 2024 World Cup finals were quite a disappointment for a nation that tends to be pretty strong. One of only 2 nations to actually win the World Cup. So, actually, excuse me, one of 2 nations only to participate in every World Cup. My apologies, I can't read my own handwriting.
That's a problem I have too. Don't worry.
It's been a long day. This is only the 2nd game so far. We will have one further after this as Cuba will take on Chinese Taipei. That will take place roughly half an hour after this game ends. Tentatively scheduled for 9:30 local time here in Czechia. Tiscaronis throws down to Heroes, and we are ready to rock and roll here. What has turned into a lovely evening. It was overcast, but now a break in the skies. The sun is out. The temperature has warmed up. And we have some softball here in Prague at the home of Yauders Praha. And I will just add 8 players from Yauders are in this Czech team. That is half of their World Cup roster. Belongs to this club, the reigning 6-time national champions of Czechia. Klimpova steps in from the left side. Lamb is ready, and here comes the first pitch. That is high for ball 1. We are underway at 7:03 local time. Thank you so much for tuning in wherever you are around the world for the WBSC Women's Softball World Cup. Tim Collins, Chris Knobloch bringing you all the action here. As the count 0-1, or 1-0, excuse me, Lamb delivers. And that will even things at 1.
That pitch spinning over the outside edge. The first one was a little bit inside to Veronika Klimpova. Klimpova in the U18 World Cup was 4 of 21. That was a couple of years ago.
Lamb working much more deliberately than the pitchers from our first game. She's delivering with about 4 seconds left on the clock. The 1-1 is down low. And for the first time, we will have some very fun analytics on our broadcast, as one of the great sponsors here of the WBSC, TrackMan, has very generously given us their data. That last pitch at 67 miles an hour. We'll be bringing you some of those stats throughout the game and throughout the week as that pitch misses. 3-1 the count.
That one,
like
that one had some giddy up on it as well.
Lamb does like to use that rise ball, and that was one of the pitches that let her down a little bit in the 2024 edition of the World Cup final in Italy. She was leaving that rise ball up, and when that ball is left up, just like any pitch that moves relatively straight, it can become beach ball sized for a batter. But she has since become one of the staff anchors here for Australia, as the 26-year-old former Raging Cajun delivers. This is chopped up the middle. Over is Giros, but she can't make the play. Would have been a close play at first regardless. And the leadoff runner is aboard for Czechia.
Klimpova got a pitch down and away, and she chopped it over the head of Kendra Lamb. And Giros had to race way over to her left in front of the bag. Take another look at this. We saw how high the ball was bouncing on the infield in the first game, and that was a case where there wasn't much Giros probably could have done had she even gotten to that ball.
That was chopped right in front of the plate. Almost backspun into foul territory, but instead it is a leadoff single for Klimpova, and that brings up Molintova, another left-handed batter. In at third base is Watman, and the bunt goes foul off the Australia dugout. One quick note about the ground rules here. There are no dugout doors. So anything that rolls into the dugout and hits the first step is a dead ball. Of course, we will tell you if that is the case. The count 0-1 to Molintova. Taking another step in is Watman at third. The pitch. Swung on and foul tipped into the mitt. Nothing in two. Tiscaronis doing a good job to hold on to that. As that was fouled off the end of the bat. She was able to hold on. Nothing in two, the count now.
That was ruled a base hit, by the way, from Klimkova. And I think obviously rightly so.
That was going to be a very tough play for Giros. And now showing bunt again is Molintova with 2 strikes. She'll bring the bat back. 0-2. This is skied out towards left field. Elliott is over. She will make the catch, diving away from her as that ball was tailing towards the foul line. Gets it back in quickly, and Molintova has to retreat. But a good effort by Elliott in left field.
Yeah, she had a brief moment of panic as she went back on that. Let's look at it again. You can see she's just slapping at that pitch up and away, and Elliott was playing shallow, but she was able to get back there and make a nice basket catch for the first out.
Almost an over-the-shoulder catch, but she had turned around twice, so I don't know if that counts as over-the-shoulder anymore as Savola steps in. Saviola, another left-handed hitter, and that you will see a lot out of this Czech team as that pitch over the outside corner for a strike.
She's one of the players to watch offensively. She currently plays in Italy with Serrano, and she's batting .458 with 3 home runs there over the first half of the season.
Kendra Lamb so far a model of consistency. Every one of her fastballs has been 67 miles an hour without exception. That's chopped off the plate foul, and again ahead in the count, 0-2. That's what Lamb needs to do, is to attack these hitters right away, get quick outs, and keep Czechia off balance. There is not that much experience at this level for Czechia, although they have the experience and they have wins over teams that are playing in this pool, albeit in the Canada Cup. A fantastic tournament, but not quite the World Cup.
They have a lot of players that play overseas as well, including Kindermanova, who's pitching.
That pitch outside, watching it into the glove is Saviola.
That
1
was
and 2.
66. Sorry, excuse me, Chris. Good crowd, a lot of fans packed into the right field and left field bleachers.
And it has to be said that this is a fantastic facility here at Youters Praha. The Czech Extraliga and the Czech Federation have run 2 excellent tournaments so far, with the European Championship last September, that at multiple destinations around Prague, and now having the World Cup here at Svoboda Park. As Lamb delivers, that one's fouled away. Count remains 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Now, this ballpark was actually built originally in 1997. They did heavily renovations in 2005. They hosted the 2010 European Championships U22 women's here, and that's when they installed the lights. They've done several other championships since then. But yeah, we've been really impressed, and we've only had 1 game. We still got another week of this.
The pitch from Lamb, swung and missed, as Saviola chases a high fastball. Good rise ball for the strikeout from Lamb, and that is out number 2, her first strikeout of the game. We talk about the facility here to give you a geographic look at where we are. We are in the furthest north of the city, Prague 8, right on the Vltava River, which is right behind this ballpark. As Smekol Pekova steps in, the first right-handed hitter. Check swing, grounded back towards Lamb. It gets past her, and in time, as Whitefield had to recover it and flip to first for the out. But that will do it, as the leadoff single proves harmless. 1 runner left on base. We are through half an inning here at the WBSC Women's Softball World Cup. Czechia 0, Australia coming up here in Prague. bottom half of the first inning. One change already for the Czech side, as Slavanova will take over behind the plate. It is a straight swap, as she is listed as the designated player. And coming up against Katerina Kindermanova will be Olivia Elliott, Tamika Whitefield, and Taylor Tiscaronis. As the first pitch is in there for a strike to Elliott.
Katerina Kindermanova spent time in Mexico pitching in the Mexican Softball League. She was the MVP of the championship game there for her team, the Sultanas. She also came back and pitched in the Extraliga to the tune of a 2.15 ERA in 27 innings for the Beavers. And one of her career highlights was a 14 strikeout game versus Peru at the U18 World Cup in 2021. So she's been on the scene for a while, and she's been able to prove herself at every level so far.
0-2 pitch coming, and that just misses off the plate for ball one. Good eye by Elliott, who is coming off of fantastic World Games. She bat .583, good for second in the tournament. Australia coming fifth at the World Games, won by the United States. Chinese Taipei in this pool coming second, and Canada fourth. This is popped up over towards short. Under it is Vodakova, and she will make the catch for out number one.
Well, she got her off balance.
Absolutely.
And you see, when you're behind in the count, you just try to put the ball in play, and with that rise ball, it's very hard to get it on the ground. And an easy pop-up to the shortstop, Voditskova.
With those high pop-ups, we have noticed that the wind does move the ball a little bit, and the wind currently swirling throughout the ballpark. It is blowing in from left field and out towards right.
Yeah, we're situated on the top of a hill. Very beautiful location. We have an overview of the entire city of Prague, which is, you know, you may have heard, it's not just any city. It's very picturesque.
1-0. That misses up for ball two. Going back to the fastball there. Kindermanova sitting about 62, 63 miles an hour.
This Czech team does have a couple pitchers that can throw hard. I know Veronika Petskova can also touch 68, 69.
That pitch misses inside and low for ball three.
Three very close pitches, two just below and one just above the strike zone.
Part of this feeling out process, not only for this tournament for the pitchers with their opponents, but with umpires who are not their usual WBSC Europe umpires for the most part. As that pitch in for a strike, taking all the way was Whitefield, and she will watch that settle into Slanova's glove.
There's a lot of syllables in this lineup.
Been a while since I've done a Czech game. 3-1 pitch, misses outside. No, it's in there for a strike. And that will run the count full. Whitefield had dropped the bat and had taken a step towards first, and she is back in the box already.
Kindermanova has an energy about her. She is not worried about all of those pitches. Were very close.
Swung on and missed. Strikeout for Kindermanova as she goes to the pitch down and in. And that will be out number two.
But she really showed me something in that at bat. Three very close pitches. She didn't get any of the calls, and instead of getting frustrated and giving up on the at bat, she just pounded the strike zone. And at the end, that was a nasty drop ball. And Whitefield swung way over the top.
As Taylor Tiscaronis steps in, the catcher for this Aussie Spirit team. First pitch, this is outside ball one. Of note, the Czech team are calling their pitches from the dugout. That's why Kindermanova is looking at the dugout and then down at her wrist after every pitch. But as soon as she gets that call, it is a second and a half, and she delivers just like that. So that's popped up to even the count at one. Very, very fast delivery.
Yeah, she's not wasting much time. The pitch clock has not really come into consideration at all so far in the early going.
Tiscaronis waits for the pitch. 1-1 the count, 2 down. Here in the bottom of the first, no score. As that pitch misses just high.
Well, she has good movement, good life on that pitch too. That one came in at 69. And horizontal break of -3 inches. We have access to the TrackMan data, which is really fascinating to watch in live time.
2-1. This is chopped towards third. Up with it is Klimpova across the diamond. And that will retire the side. So Australia down in order 1-2-3. We've played one full inning here at the WBSC Women's Softball World Cup. No score from Prague. Emma Vodičková will lead things off for Czechia. It will be the 5, 6, 7 batters. Vodičková, Salaba, and Stečkalova for this Czech side against Kendra Lamb. No score here in the top half of the second inning.
Vodičková the last couple of years playing in Italy with Pianura, and her career batting average there in those 2 seasons, .394. Not bad.
First pitch from Lamb is in for a strike.
So far, both pitchers appear to have excellent stuff. A lot of movement, a lot of energy. You know, whenever you pitch in front of a crowd like this, there's just an added layer of adrenaline that flows in. It doesn't matter whether you're the home team or the visiting team.
That pitch misses low, evens the count at 1.
It kind of pumps everybody up.
And certainly today has been a bit of a weird day. We have game 1 at noon. This is technically game 3. And then we will follow with game 2. We'll be back on schedule after today. Little quirk of the World Cup, bringing several continents together. As that pitch is in there for a strike, 1-2 the count.
That looked like it was a drop ball. It was a bit high in the strike zone, but it definitely broke downwards and hit the top of the zone.
Lamb working the inside part of the plate. Vodičková is showing bunt, pulls the bat back, and will take strike 3 as she is rung up looking. Second strikeout for Lamb, and the first out here in the second. Good pitch by Kendra Lamb. And that is the first out of this second inning.
That one with 5 inches of horizontal break, 67 miles an hour, and right on the outside corner. Take another look at it. Really tight spin. And a nice frame job also by Titskronis.
Now Salaba will foul this off the screen on the third base side for strike 1. Late swing there.
Salaba in her career in the European Champions, that's going back 4 times between 2021 and 25. She has a 27 for 87 with 16 runs, 5 doubles, and 2 home runs.
The 0-1 just off the plate. 1-1. Slava plays for Bollate in the Italian Professional League. 8 games in the last European Championship, a double, 5 runs scored, and 3 runs batted in. As the 1-1 is a ball. Slava did not offer.
In her experience in U18 World Cup play in 2019, she had 4 hits and 15 at-bats. 2017, when she was 16 years old, she was 7 for 13.
Another ball fouled back on the third base side. Ricochets back into the field of play. Evens the count at 2.
And Slava will also turn 26 on Saturday, the last day of this tournament. June 20th, 2000. That's her birthday.
Meanwhile, in the circle, Kendra Lamb has had a fantastic club season, winning the 2025-26 Gilly Shield with the New South Wales Fire Stars.
That's a team that head coach Kerry Porter coached for 15 years before taking over the helm.
As the full count pitch, called third strike, Slava strikes out and is 3/4 of the way to first base before she gets the bad news. Third strikeout for Lamb, and second looking. And that's out number 2 in the second. That pitch breaking away from Slava.
Well, the strike zone today appears to have a very tight zone, high and low, but on the edges, you might get an inch or so. And that's okay. It's part of the game, and the players have to sort of get used to everything. This is one of the things that's great about these tournaments, as you mentioned, right? When you have officials that you don't know, you have to learn how it works. You have to feel out the strike zone if you're the catcher. Obviously, Titsakronis is going to sort of try to nurture that relationship behind the plate with the catcher. And
Liska Stechkalova, excuse me, I'm stumbling all over my syllables here. But the 1-0 pitch coming to her, and that just misses off the plate. 2-0. Stechkalova,
25 years old.
Plays for Ledenice Sharks. I will not attempt to pronounce the word for sharks in Czech. We will save everybody that embarrassment. 3 balls, no strikes as Lamb misses again. Slaninova is waiting on deck doing the catching, listed as the designated player. She will bat if the inning can be extended here. The 3-0. And that hits her. So it was going to be a walk anyway, and instead counts as a hit batter. So with 2 down, second base runner of the game for Czechia.
Now Stechkalova, after those 2 looking strikeouts, and there were 4 pitches that none of them were really anywhere near the strike zone, and now for the number 8 hitter, Slaninova, was originally the designated player. Now she's in there as the catcher.
A member of this Youters Praha club. Played 4 games at the European Championship, 2 for 10 with a run batted in. Made her senior debut back in 2021. I'll now have an opportunity with 2 outs here in the second. Lamb working deliberately here. She delivers. That is pop foul up the first base line. And ricochets back into play. 0-1.
You know, when you look back at the stats for Australia in the 24 World Cup, the pitching wasn't the problem. They, as a team, had an ERA of 2.33. And Kendra Lamb is sort of picking up where that left off. You know, they have strong veteran pitching that knows how to react to situations like this. The real question for them is, can they score some more runs than they did before?
Swung on and foul tipped into Tiskronis' mitt. That is 0-2 the count. This is the 3rd consecutive World Cup tournament where Australia has had to travel to Europe. No wonder they're excited to host next year. That trip to Prague, by the way, is quite long. They flew from Hong Kong to Amsterdam, 9,966 miles, 16,039 kilometers, as Kendra Lamb induces the swing and miss. 3 strikeouts in the inning and another batter left on, as Stechkalova is left at first base. We're through an inning and a half, no score between Australia and Czechia here at the WBSC Women's Softball World Cup. few raindrops, and the wind is now whipping around the ballpark. This is probably our 20th different weather pattern of the day. Good time for it.
It's the courtesy drizzle. It's required by law, actually, I think, every hour on the hour. At least for today, it seems to be. We've had multiple weather cycles, none of them too extreme, but it sort of rotates between very, very warm and then windy
and wet. And you can see that wind picking up as Kindermanova delivers the first pitch of the bottom of the second. That misses down low to Shaylin Watman. Ball one. The wind is absolutely whipping around the ballpark right now, and the flags in right center field have just switched direction from blowing in to blowing out as I'm talking.
Yeah, it might be interesting to see what happens on a pop-up at this point.
1-0 pitch coming. And that is in there for a strike.
Kindermanova has done a very good job of just hitting the corners. She's pounded the strike zone, even after falling behind 3-0 on Tamika Whitefield in the first inning.
So far, both starters are doing a good job of painting the corners. And it does really seem like it will be a game of inches or centimeters in this one, as that pitch misses low.
Kindermanova asking for an appeal.
And the appeal denied, as she did not swing, did Watman. Shaylin Watman went to San Diego State University.
She's also one of several players in the lineup that spent time at Pensacola State.
As this is grounded towards short, that will get past the shortstop Wojcikova and into center field. First hit of the game for Australia, and it is a leadoff single for Watman here in the second.
Now Watman just putting the bat on the ball, and because that pitch was down, she was able to just ground it through the middle and get it past Wojcikova into center field. If that ball is up, then it probably results in a pop-up, but because it was so low in the zone, she just sort of rolled over on it and grounds a single through the middle.
That brings up Georgia Hood, former Coastal Carolina standout. As the first pitch to her misses high for ball one. Watman was dancing off the bag after that pitch was delivered, but able to get back. She's being held on by Furkova. Quite close, it has to be said, to the line. There's a big gap on the right side. Bunt laid down by Hood. It's a good one. It dies right at the plate. The throw is not in time as she beats it to first base. Great job by Hood. And a textbook bunt that just died right in front of the plate.
And she ran in front of the ball after she bunted it. The ball lands in front of the plate. Watch this. The ball is behind her as she ran past it. And
a very close play at first base, but Hood in there safe on the safety bag. And now runners at first and second, nobody down for Jade Wall, the veteran of this Australian team.
Yeah, Wall.
That is chopped back up the middle, could be two. Over to second for one. That's the only out they're going to get, as Wojcikova sends it to Slaba for the out at second. So Hood is retired. Wall replaces her at first base. Over to third is Watman. It was a good play.
Very close at second base. You know, we saw some close plays in the first game, and none of those were challenged with a video review. We only saw one video review, and that was on the check swing.
As time is called here briefly. Wind now blowing in from right field.
There were some leaves blowing off the trees that were going across the infield like tumbleweed.
I'd say we're a good 400 feet above the rest of the city here, so we are quite exposed in the north portion, up on the, basically on the hill on the cliff's edge here at Youters. As that first pitch is a strike, swung on and missed.
Big chance for Australia here. First, third one out.
Trim waiting for the pitch. Here comes. Just misses off the plate. 1-1. Trim from North Curl. Yes.
We've been both waiting to say that.
Myra Giros, who is waiting on deck from South Curl, both in New South Wales. As that is a big cut. Trim comes up empty, 1-2 the count.
Makes you wonder what's between North Curl and South Curl. I mean, I'm literally wondering.
Well, you know what?
Is there something?
Tell you what, if we are lucky enough to end up in Australia, we will have to find out. We will go on a research trip for the people.
We will.
1-2 pitch, misses very high. Slananova out of the crouch to make sure that one doesn't hit, well, us.
That was a really good play by Slananova. She had to almost full extension and catch it at the top in the webbing of her glove.
2-2 the count. Runners at first and third, one down in the inning. Setting up off the plate is Slananova. And Trim saw that, put the bat on her shoulder, and that's ball 3. Slananova telegraphed that one a bit early, and Trim knew she didn't have to swing from the moment that ball was delivered. So now the count is full, and the payoff pitch. Down low, ball 4. Trim will walk, and the bases are loaded.
So suddenly some control problems for Katerina Kindermanova. 2 singles and now the hit batter.
And time will be called as we will have a visit to the circle. I believe that is Mike Rennie coming out, the new head coach of Czechia.
Longtime coach in British Columbia at Simon Fraser University, 24 seasons in that program.
And he's familiar with another one of the teams here in Group Prague. That would be Canada. Spent significant time with their national team program. Not the only coach who's spent time with a potential rival, Craig Montvidas, who's currently in charge of the Italian side, former Netherlands head coach. And actually, is the head coach of the Minot Honeybees, I believe it is. And the reason why that is important is Taylor Chillingsworth of Australia played for him, up in North Dakota, of all places. You never know where softball will bring you, whether it's Prague or North Dakota or Australia.
And there are connections between all those places. That's what's beautiful about this.
So, in steps Giros. First pitch is in for a strike. Maya recently debuted for this Australian side. She is number 316 all-time on the Australian number list. The 0-1. That misses. No, that's in there for a strike. 0-2.
Those are a couple of very important pitches for Kindermanova. Getting that call just at the knees on the inside corner, and now she's way out in front 0-2 with the bases loaded and only 1 out.
Giros pops up. Pitch on the outside over towards second. Slaba is looking for it. She can't haul it in. Or she did haul it in. But meanwhile, coming in to score from third base is Whitefield. I had my eyes on the catch, and Whitefield snuck home from third base. A very heads-up play. And on the board is Australia on the shortest sac fly you will ever see. It is 1-0 Aussie Spirit.
Yeah, and that's excellent base running by Shaylin Watman. She saw that the second baseman Slava was going to catch the ball with her back to home plate, and that's what gave her the opportunity to come and score. So it's a sacrifice fly on a fly out to second base. And also, Jade Wall, the veteran, moved to third base on that play.
A very heads-up, very veteran play from a team that is used to performing on the world stage. As the first pitch to Shannon Keevers is in for a strike, left-handed batter.
Stejkalova probably should have called her off on that fly ball. It was up in the air long enough, and she would have had a better angle to hold the runner at third base. But with the winds, also, you never really know. We just saw an adventure on a pop-up.
0-1 showing bunt. That ball down in the dirt. Up to second base is Trim, uncontested. And the count evens at 1 to Keevers. So 2 runners in scoring position for Australia. They have the 1-0 lead, and they are looking for more. That is a wild pitch on Kindermanova.
A pitch hit the umpire, which might have saved a run for Czech Republic.
A very short distance between home plate and the backstop, it must be said. In fact, that is the distance between us and home plate as well. 2-1 the count as that pitch missed low. Keevers from Collingwood, Victoria. Waiting for the pitch. Kindermanova delivers. It's a high pitch away, and Keevers fouls that back to the screen. 2-2. Watman scoring on the sac fly, and at this point the wind is almost untrackable because it is blowing in both from left and right field, which is, in a word, impossible, but it's doing it anyway.
Every flag is pointing a different direction.
2-2 pitch coming. Checking her swing, and she's rung up anyway, is Keevers. That pitch down low, and that will end the inning. So Kindermanova able to limit the damage, but Australia on the board 1-0 on a sac fly pop-up on the infield. And through to Australia 1, Czechia 0 here at the WBSC Women's Softball World Cup. Third inning here in Prague. The score 1-0 Australia over Czechia. Chris Nabla, Tim Collins on the call here. The second game of the WBSC Women's Softball World Cup here at Group Prague. The first of 3 opening round pools this year. The second will be next month in Lima, and the third will be in September in Oklahoma City. The top teams from each of those pools who win the final and will head to Australia, along with 2 wild cards for the finals next year in Redcliffe, Queensland, Australia. Australia, the team, will be there, but if they end up winning this pool, there will be 2 wild card teams. If they end up 3rd or lower, then there will be 1 from the other 2 pools. Furkova waits for the pitch. It is outside, ball 1. Furkova, the captain of this Czech squad. And she is not playing all that far from home. In fact, she's playing at home. Member of this Gouders Praha team. As Lamb delivers the 1-0. And is swung on and missed. Big cut. But coming up with airs for Kova. Playing first base. 8 games at the European Championships. Bat .353. Pair of doubles, 5 runs, 2 runs batted in.
4 strikeouts for Lamb so far in the early going here.
1-1, another big cut by Furkova. And again, she comes up empty, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Lamb definitely has her fastball lively. That one up to 69 miles an hour. Sitting between 69, 70 miles an hour is Lamb. We'll see what she goes to here. 1-2. That is high. Furkova does not offer. Not a bad idea by Lamb, but she can't induce the swing.
They're trying to go up the ladder with 2 strikes. Czech team has swung at a few of those in this game.
2-2 coming. That is sent out towards right field. It will get down for a base hit and will get past Keevers, rolling all the way into the corner. Furkova into second. She's heading for third. She is going to try it here. She is rounding third, heading for home. The throw comes in. It is not in time, and Furkova with the inside the park home run. What a play by Yana Furkova, and it's a 1-1 ball game. She was sprinting out of the box. That ball dying away from Keevers. Watch it on the replay, and it just headed straight for that corner. As soon as it was past Keevers, the only question was triple or home run. And Furkova, once she rounded second, there was no shot at a triple.
She almost stopped after rounding third base. She paused for a second and hesitated ever so slightly, and then realized, might as well go for it. Well, we're tied.
The most exciting play in all of baseball, the inside the park home run, ties this game at 1. As now we will have a discussion between head coach Kerry Porter and home plate umpire Galip Somes. And now the umpires will conference. And I'm guessing that there might be a discussion.
If the ball went out of play, perhaps.
If the ball went out of
under
play,
the fence.
That's entirely possible.
It goes out of our view, and it went out of the view of the camera. And if that's the case, then that home run is going to get taken away, and she will be placed on second base with an automatic double. But that's just my guess as to what this could be about.
We will see what the discussion is about, and we will now go to the video review. So as we wait for an explanation on that.
Let's see where this ball goes. Did it go out of play? No.
It doesn't look like it went out of play, but it does look like it might have gotten hung up almost underneath the fence for a second, but that wouldn't normally be enough to count as out of play. The throw ended up coming down the first base line and towards the backstop, but I didn't see anything there that would indicate that the ball had gone out of play either.
It didn't look like it made contact with anything that wasn't supposed to be on the field.
This is Australia using their video challenge, and while we have a break in the action, we can talk about the next game. It's going to be an interesting one between Cuba and Chinese Taipei, two teams that don't often get together. In fact, I would guess that they are two of the furthest teams apart from each other on Earth at 8,712 miles between their capitals. That's up there. There aren't too many points on Earth that are further apart than that. That'll be coming up about half an hour after this game wraps up. And of course, you can watch that game where you're watching this one.
Part of me is wondering if they're looking at the replay to see if maybe her foot was out of the box when she hit the ball or something like this.
Well, initially I had thought that they were looking at the play at third, and the inside the park home run will stand. So there you go. And Australia now without their challenge, as they are unsuccessful for whatever they were challenging for. Originally, for what it's worth, I thought they were challenging on did Furkova touch third base.
But that would
she
be an
very
appeal
clearly
play.
did. An appeal play, absolutely. So anyway, the end result is an inside the park home run, and it stands. Fantastic.
And here we are now. The first thing they talk about is where is the back line in the batter's box, as Klimplova steps up to the plate, second time through the order for Czechia against Kendra Lamb.
So Klimplova, who had the single to lead off the game, steps in from the left side. Lamb delivers. And that pitch misses high. And all of a sudden, you can barely speak about it without it coming into full voice. The Czech crowd has come alive.
Yeah, they brought the band today.
The opening ceremony just before this game, as Lamb delivers the 1-0. That misses away. The opening ceremony taking place at 6 o'clock, an hour before this game. Fantastic performances. Always a special part of the opening day of this competition, regardless of the level, as Klimplova swings through that one. 2 balls and a strike.
That's the most effective pitch that Lamb has thrown against the Czech hitters in this game. The fastball rising up and in on the hands. She's gotten swings and misses from both lefties and righties on it.
And it's interesting, a very good point, Tim, because she's had success with the high fastball, which is also the pitch she has so much trouble with. Lines towards first. Georgia Hood hauls it in. Great play by Hood, who snow-coned that ball in her glove. And
that was barreled by Klimplova. And she tried that inside high fastball again, and I was about to say, it's worked really well, but you can't throw it all the time, and that's exactly why, because Klimplova started looking for it and hammered it.
Absolutely hammered it, and only Georgia Hood prevented that from extra bases going down the line. First pitch to Molintova, swung on and missed.
And that was the drop.
We have confirmation. The appeal was on Furkova touching home plate, which she did.
Aha, well, that would be the one place where you can't just throw the ball and touch it with your foot as the catcher.
That makes sense. A huge shout out to the WBSC technical staff, keeping us apprised as best as possible. Obviously, they can't tell us what they're doing as they're doing it, but immediately after, some of the best officials in the game here in Czechia. Meanwhile, Molintova waits for the 1-1. And late swing fouled back to the left side, now to play.
That was again the pitch on the inside corner, but Molintova that time took a step out, almost stepping towards first base to try to get the barrel of the bat to that inside pitch and slap it the other way.
Interesting to see what Lamb does here, as her last 2-strike pitch was absolutely hammered going to that rise ball. We'll see what she does. The 1-2. Called third strike over the outside corner. And that is Lamb's 5th strikeout through 2 2/3 innings. That is the 3rd strikeout looking. So Lamb's done quite well so far. The only blemish is the inside the park home run, but it is quite a blemish as it's a 1-1 game here with 2 outs in the 3rd.
Well, that was a pretty pitch. She broke it off right on the outside corner of the knees.
First pitch to Saviola is down low, ball 1. Saviola struck out swinging to end the 1st inning. Or sorry, for the 2nd out of the 1st inning, as Klimpova had singled and was stranded on base in the 1st. 1-0. And that just misses.
Saviola is one of the players that, coming into this game, she's one of the players that you expect to do something big if Czech Republic's going to score some runs and win some games in this tournament. She's one of their powerful hitters, playing in Italy the last couple of years, and if she's going to do something, they have a good chance.
Pitch over the outside corner for strike 1. I think if you were to look at the 6 teams here in Prague, you would have to consider Czechia a bit of an underdog. They came 5th at the European Championship, their qualification through hosting. That said, once you get in, and it speaks to the importance of hosting, as that pitch swung on and missed to even the count at 2. Once you're in, anything can happen. You look at Italy, they hosted both rounds of the World Cup. They did not. They did a very good job and kept interest in the sport rising, even hosting the U15 World Cup last year, in which Czechia and Australia played each other. Had the pleasure of being there in Corona Pertusela for that tournament, 2-week tournament last June and July. But now the main event for the title of world champion. 2 balls, 2 strikes, swung on and missed as Lamb gets her 6th strikeout, her 2nd of the inning. And that will end things, but the inside the park home run by Furkova ties this game up at 1. Czechia 1, Australia 1 here at the WBSC Women's Softball World Cup. Bottom half of the 3rd innings, tied up at 1 between Czechia and Australia. Be the top of the order, Elliott, Whitefield, and Tiscaronis for the Aussie Spirit side.
And we just saw the replay of the inside the park home run. I guess the
It didn't look that close in real time.
Did she catch the home plate with the back cleat on her right foot? You make the call. Umpires, they had a chance to look at it. They have all the angles. And it was determined that she did, in fact, touch home plate.
First pitch to Elliott from Kindermanova is in there for a strike. 69 miles an hour. Kindermanova's hardest pitches so far. Elliott swings over that pitch.
Good drop ball.
Very good drop ball, and good diving action to it as well. That didn't look so much like a drop ball as it looked like a changeup. End result, though, 0-2. As Kindermanova winds and delivers. That's outside. 1 ball, 2 strikes, and again, Slaninova telegraphed her move well in advance of the pitch. That waist pitch, almost known as a waist pitch by the batter before it leaves the pitcher's hand.
Well, she tried that drop ball again because it had worked on the previous pitch, but fool me once, can't fool me twice.
1-2, down low, and that will even the count. That pitch dove towards home plate.
You can see Slavinova actually almost kind of getting her body out of the way and backhanding that pitch as if there was a runner on base and she was going to get ready to throw it. Looked a little bit awkward.
Kindermanova gets the sign. 2-2 pitch. This is chopped towards second. Slava is up with it. She will fire overhand to first. Burkova has it, and that's out number 1. So Elliott retired for the second time today, and that is out number 1 in the third.
That ball actually almost took a bad hop on Slava. She waited for the second hop instead of charging it. Take another look at it. We talked about how the ball is bouncing a bit strange on this infield today. You know, that'll change throughout the course of the week, and the players, they're all used to it. But it's a little bit of a risk when you wait that long on a play like that.
First pitch to Whitefield is in there for a strike. Good breaking action. That was down and in. Whitefield struck out on a full count pitch in the first. That touching 70 miles an hour for Kindermanova.
With that kind of movement, induced vertical break of 10 inches.
That pitch misses down low. This time Whitefield not offering 1-1.
So our eyes were not lying to us. That ball looked like it dove straight down into the bottom of the zone, and according to TrackMan, it did.
Whiteman waits for the 1-1. Here it comes. Misses well outside for ball 2.
Whitefield has debuted with the Australian Aussie Spirit, I should say, in 2018 at the Asia Cup.
Recently achieved 100 caps for Australia and serves as the vice captain of this team. Played in the Taiwanese Professional League for the Bravo Bears as well. 2-1 pitch. This is hammered down the third base line, but hooking foul as it rattles around the dasher boards down the left field side. Evens the count at 2. Very sharply hit ball, but pulled down the line.
Kindermanova with 2 strikeouts, 1 walk. She's allowed the 2 hits and a run so far in this game, but she's made some big pitches when she's needed to so far.
2 balls, 2 strikes, 1 out, 1-1 game. Each team with a run, each team with 2 hits. As this is chopped in front of the plate, Kindermanova will field it herself, but not in time. That'll be an infield hit for Whitefield, as she was going to be safe as soon as that ball bounced back up in the air, as it bounced about 20 feet straight up.
I like to use the term kangaroo bounce single, and not even when Australia is playing. It has nothing to do with the fact that
it's a little
Australia
on the nose, a little on the nose, but it's very accurate.
But that's what that was.
Absolutely. And we've seen a lot of those chop balls right in front of the plate between the 2 games today. That have been very effective. Some that have chopped and their second bounces land in the outfield. Some that have just gone straight up in the air. But certainly using that to their advantage as Tiscarona sends this out towards right field. Over is Steskulova. She will haul it in. And that is out number 2. So Tiscarona flies out on the first pitch she sees for the second out of the inning.
Just off the end of the bat. It was a good pitch. Another one diving down and away from her. And she didn't quite get the barrel to it to get it up and over that right field fence.
So now with 2 down, Shaylin Watman singled and scored. Australia's lone run at the moment. That was last inning. Coming to score on the pop-up to second base by Maya Giros.
Yeah, it's really her base running that gave Australia that run. It's very astute.
And actually, for both runs, they have been a product of good base running. I say good base running with a pause, as, of course, Furkova's base running ended up with a challenge. Meanwhile, 1-0 pitch coming. Kindermanova delivered. This is skied out towards right center field. It is high, it is far, it's drifting, and it's gone! A 2-run shot for Shaylin Watman, and it is 3-1 Australia. That ball was up in the air, and it just kept drifting and drifting till it cleared everything out in right center. A 2-run shot for Watman.
Well, she got the barrel of the bat to the ball, and you can see the right fielder, Steskulova. She's kind of laughing. That's the center fielder, Saviola, excuse me. But It looked like a routine fly ball, and it's not really all that windy right now, but look at that. They just keep going and going, and it landed in the first row of the bleachers. Nothing that Stejkalova could do.
She simply powered that over the fence. It really did look like a vertical pop-up from where we were sitting and just kept drifting, actually against the wind, which is blowing in hard from right.
Well, that's 5 home runs in so far 1 1/3 games here in Prague.
Thankfully, we have plenty of Mizuno 170 softballs. As Kindermanova delivers a strike to Georgia Hood. She singled and was erased on Wall's fielder's choice. Last inning.
Well, Titskronis didn't quite get the barrel of the bat to her fly ball. Well, Watman did. It was the same fly ball, just 3 inches higher on the bat, and that made all the difference.
0-1 the count. That pitch with a lot of movement. Unfortunately, that movement took it out of the zone. 1-1. That had to have some of the biggest break of any pitch we've seen so far, and indeed 9 inches of horizontal break with another 7 vertical.
The TrackMan is fun.
1-1 pitch coming. A curveball and a beauty. 1-2. So that buckled Hood's knees.
Yeah, that looked like it was much slower in velocity than her previous pitches, although it registered at 68 on the TrackMan.
Still just 1 out in the inning, or 2 outs in the inning, excuse me. That's popped off the screen foul over by first base.
Kindermanova, you know, she's pitched in Mexico this year, but at the age of 22, pitching in Mexico and the Extraliga, but 6 years ago, she pitched in Series A2, which is the second league in Italy. So she's been an international softball player since she was a teenager.
1-2 pitch is lifted out towards right field, tailing away from Stejkalova, but she will haul it in and make the catch. Good play by Stejkalova as she brings that one in to retire Hood and end the inning. But the 2-run shot by Watman gives Australia the lead again. It is 3-1 Australia. We're through 3 here at the Women's Softball World Cup, Group Prague.
And now, the beautiful rapid goal and first woman, hitting 168. Original the first opportunity. The second winner, also hitting 148. Original the also. And the last winner, with number 33, yellow t-shirt. You can get your purchase out of the bleachers. You can sell it Tennessee as a helpful.
3 innings in the books. Australia with the 3-1 lead over Czechia here at the WBSC Women's Softball World Cup. Group Prague, the first of 3 preliminary rounds. The second next month in Lima, Peru. And the third coming up in Oklahoma City in September. With the top teams, the winners of the final and the repechage of each pool, plus 1 or 2 wild cards, heading to Australia next year, Queensland, and the Kayo Stadium in Redcliffe, where they will play in front of a 10,000-seat arena as the first pitch is fouled back off the glass in front of us, and we can confirm that the glass is shatter resistant at very least. As in, it didn't shatter that time.
That's the first good shot we've gotten so far. Only game 2.
That was
a lot more time left.
But to be fair, that was a quality shot. Smyslov-Pekova swings and looks like she made contact, but very weakly, and it's 0-2, a little bit of a foul ball.
That was a tantalizing off-speed pitch from Kendra Lamb. The first one, she went with hard stuff. That one, she took something off, and you could see Petskova was way out in front.
Lamb working deliberately now, gets the sign she wants. The 0-2 off the plate. Tiscarona set that up early. 1 ball, 2 strikes. You might be able to fool another batter on that, but not if the catcher's batting.
Yeah. Trying to get a swing and a miss on a pitch breaking down and away, but it wasn't close enough.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Lamb delivers. Pitch misses high and inside, evens the count at 2. Going back to the rise ball there, but missing belt high.
I like that pitch choice because the last one was down and away. When you're ahead, you have a hitter that's very tall with long arms. It's tough to get in the kitchen, I guess is what you could say, is where Kendra Lamb was trying to put that one.
Lamb rocks the 2-2. That just misses off the plate and runs the count full. Good movement, but movement around the plate.
And you got to tip your cap to Šmejkal Petskova, who is leading the Czech league in hitting with an exactly 500 batting average in, I think, 66 at-bats.
Payoff pitch that is swung on and missed. Lamb with her 7th strikeout and her 3rd consecutive here. As apart from that inside the park home run, her command has been very, very good. And what we're seeing from this Kendra Lamb is a strikeout pitcher, something that she struggled a little bit with in the 2024 edition of this World Cup. Not a lot of strikeouts. This time, 7 so far, through 3 1/3. This is chopped on a hop towards short. The throw is in time as Giros fired that across the diamond. Giros thought she might have had the catch. It had skipped right in front of her glove, but she was able to recover, and Georgia Hood had the fist pump going as she received the ball. That's out number 2, and it's a good one.
That's a tough ball to read for the shortstop. It was hit right off the end of the bat, so you have to first judge how hard it's hit because it was hit right at her. And then she was charging and kind of flopped forward as the ball was bouncing to her, caught it on a short hop. That's a very tough play by the young Maya Giros.
So 2 down as Salaba steps in, struck out looking in her first at bat, but on a full count pitch. She will take a pitch away for ball 1.
Kendra Lamb trying to have a 1-2-3 inning for the first time in this game.
Time asked for and granted to Tiscaronis back behind the plate. Of course, this is the 2nd game of the day. The first game of the day, if that set the tone for this tournament, we're in for a good one. 11-10, Canada walks off against Italy in 8 innings. That score does not tell you how that game went in the slightest.
That was a back and forth affair.
1-0 sent towards left field, but looking foul.
And newsflash, Canada wins a walk-off. Never happened before. At least not before today.
It certainly hasn't happened 4 times in their last, 6 games in Europe?
What I meant to say was it never doesn't happen, seemingly. At least not in the World Cup recently.
And to be fair to both sides, they both started with 2 scoreless innings. That's where things went off the rails.
Well, we had fun.
We had a great time, and it certainly speaks to the standard of play that Canada, a perennial contender, the Pan-American champions, coming up against the European champions, and they go wall to wall. It speaks to the parity that we are now seeing across global softball. Meanwhile, the count has run to 2-1. Of course, that global parity gets much more interesting with an Olympic spot on the line, as is here. Now, this is not the only Olympic spot on the line. The United States has already automatically qualified for both baseball and softball, considered the same sport by the IOC, the men's and women's version of that sport. But the other 5 teams still to be determined. There will be continental qualifiers for Europe and Africa, Asia, Oceania, and the Americas. And then there will be a last chance tournament. But the easiest and first way to qualify is to become the world champion. And might I also just add a personal note, it is very cool and very correct that the world champion gets to represent themselves in the Olympics. I think that's a nice piece to have. Payoff pitch coming. This is grounded softly towards second. Up with it, Whitefield. She flips it to first. And down in order goes Czechia. 1, 2, 3. Kendra Lamb has retired the last 6 batters in a row. She's got 7 strikeouts on the day so far. And we're through 3.5. The score, Australia 3, Czechia 1. Here at the WBSC Women's Softball World Cup. into the bottom of the fourth. The score 3-1 Australia over Czechia. Chris Knobloch, Tim Collins bringing you the action as Australia in the slightly amusing position of being the home team against the hosts, when they will be the home team and away team sometimes next year as they host. But wearing their home uniforms, the green tops, the blue pants, the Aussie Spirit logo on the helmet and on the visors. Meanwhile, Czechia also in the blue pants, blue socks, wearing their Sesko white tops, blue letters outlined in red. As we're underway here in the fourth, with Jade Wall fouling off the first pitch she sees. She reached on a fielder's choice, or grounded into a fielder's choice, reached, and then was stranded at third base. That was back in the second inning. Kindermanova rocks the 0-1. That misses high and evens the count.
Well, we mentioned it before. She's the second oldest player in Prague at this tournament, 37 years of age, and still playing at an extremely high level, patrolling center field. She made her debut in the 2009 Canada Cup.
One of two players on this Australian team who debuted back in 2009, the other being Kaya Parnaby. That is grounded foul up the third base line. Strike two.
Wall also spent some time playing in Italy and played for a team in Australia called the Dodgy Fish, which wins the prize, in my opinion.
I've heard of some pretty good European names, but the Dodgy Fish that's up there. That is up there. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Wall. Pitch just misses off the plate, 2-2. And I've just noticed, because they've put up her photo, and her headshot is holding the kangaroo inflatable mascot for Australia. It's fantastic. And don't worry, the kangaroo is here live in person, inflated. The 2-2. This is grounded out to left field. That'll be a base hit for Wall. And the leadoff runner is aboard for Australia. That is for the second time today. An even-numbered inning, second and fourth.
It's a fifth base hit for Australia against Kindermanova. That time, pitch was down and in, and Wall just rolled it directly between the shortstop and third baseman.
As now Jenna Trim will step in. She walked, reached second on a wild pitch, but stranded there in the second. Designated player shows bunt and gets the bunt down, but foul. That came very, very close to touching the glove of Slavinova. That'll be something to watch on this next pitch, as that could have been interference quite close. Kindermanova looks to the dugout to get the pitch. Now checks her wrist and confirms. She rocks the 0-1. No bunt shown, pitch misses high.
We didn't really see a lot of bunting in the first game. We saw a lot of showing of bunting. There was, I think, 1 or 2 that actually got laid down. And in this game also, even though both teams have had some base runners,
we're seeing a lot more consideration of bunting. And here Trim will put the bunt down, but chops it foul.
And now the question is, will she still be doing the 2 strikes?
I bet she'll show bunt. Whether or not she sticks with it, that's a different story. Wall over at first base. Gets the sign from her coaching staff. She's ready. Kindermanova gets the sign from her coaching staff. She's ready to go. 1 ball, 2 strikes. The pitch. That misses high and away. 2-2. Kindermanova, it seems almost when she ends up in a sticky situation or ends up in a stressful situation, the very next pitch goes high and away. It's a waste pitch, but it's almost a waste pitch for the pitcher and not for the batter.
Yeah, you want to try to keep every pitch competitive.
The 2-2 is fouled away.
That was a much better one right there.
And that may be down to age, maybe down to competition. Kindermanova has the experience. But obviously, once you're in the World Cup, and certainly in front of a home crowd, even as the away team, it can ratchet that pressure up just a hair. Although she is not a member of Youters Praha. As Trim swings through that one, that is strikeout number 3 for Kindermanova, the first since the second inning. First out here in the fourth.
Yeah, I think that time she just decided to go right after her, throw a good hard fastball.
69 miles an hour on that fastball. As she reached back for a little bit extra to get that first out.
Trim unable to lay down the bunt, ends up striking out. That could be big.
Now Maya Giros, who had the pop-up sac fly, is now time called by Slavinova.
Giros spent 3 years at Pensacola State College in Florida, and her career batting average, 403. That's 100 hits and 248 at-bats. 5 home runs and 6 triples, 18 doubles. So kind of a gap-to-gap hitter.
This is chopped toward short, could be 2. Fadukova will flip it to second for 1. The throw will not be in time. It was a big arcing throw by the second baseman Slava. So it will be a fielder's choice. As Wall is erased, 6-4 goes the out, and Giros will replace her at first base. It was a high chopper. Fadukova really had to get there quickly. They got the quick flip over at second as we watch the replay. But then if you look at the throw over, it was a step across her body for Slava, and by the time she let go of that one, Giros was going to be safe. And
I'm not sure they had any chance to get her anyway. And now time is called.
Softball came on the field from the play area over down behind the first base line. Hence the slight delay. But now Keevers will have an opportunity with 2 out and a runner at first. She struck out looking to end the second. That pitch misses low, ball 1. Keevers steps back in from the left side. As Giros, with a bit of a track start once that ball released off first base, using the bag as leverage and almost using it as a kickoff. Give herself some extra speed. Meanwhile, count now 1-1 to Shannon Keevers.
Kindermanova still trying to pound the corners of the zone.
1-1. Slap attempt there by Keevers. She comes up empty.
That was another good pitch that dropped way down and in. Well, with 2 down, Kindermanova, see what kind of pitch she throws here. She doesn't really need to worry about the base runner.
She kicks. The base runner's off. Ball was outside. Throw down not in time. Giros will steal second easily, and the count evens at 2.
And of course, what I meant by that is that she would put her focus on the hitter, especially with 2 strikes. All you got to do is throw one more good pitch, and the base runner will be erased with the end of the inning. Yes, you don't want to give up stolen bases, but
stolen bases are a lot less harmless when they're left on base.
Exactly.
2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out, runner at second. Kindermanova delivers, and Keevers swings through that one for strike 3, 4th strikeout for Kindermanova. She strands another runner on. Australia's left 3 runners on, but they have 3 runs and a 3-1 lead here at the WBSC Women's Softball World Cup.
Another winner, Banatuzova, Baltic, last winner, Kipova Zuta, number 2, yellow. And please, somebody who has ticket with number 168, please go pick up your prize. I believe to put it out to the drive.
To the 5th inning we go. Kendra Lamb and her 7 strikeouts back in the circle. Apart from the inside the park home run, she has had a relatively unblemished day, just the 2 hits, and is staked to a 3-1 lead. She will face the bottom third of the Czech lineup. Sechelova, Slaninova, and Furkova. Although, you would not know they are the bottom of the lineup based on their performance today. The home run by Furkova down the right field line, getting Czechia on the board in the third. First pitch is outside and away, ball one.
That was the 63rd pitch for Kendra Lamb, so she's doing very well, very economical. Infield is straight away. Outfield shaded slightly to the left. Center fielder Jade Walls maybe one step to the left.
Step in at third by Shaylin Watman. And the pitch misses. 2-0 the count. Georgia Hood is playing just about even with the bag over at first base. I guess Watman still protecting just to get on the off chance of a bunt. Although unlikely on a 2-0. That pitch is in for a strike. Lamb again hitting that inside part of the plate. That's where she's liked to live this entire game, and so far it's been relatively effective for her. Sign coming from Tiscaronis. Lamb likes it. The 2-1. That one is in for a strike. Good movement as that ball came back towards the heart of the plate. Originally looked a little inside, but a late cut in, and that evens the count at 2.
You can see Stejskalova was leaning out over the plate looking for something else.
The 2-2 pitch coming from Lamb. That is chop foul into the screen in front of the Aussie dugout.
Stejskalova kind of has a split grip. Her hands are a little bit apart on the bat. It's not something you see all that much of. Trent Grisham of New York Yankees comes to mind. It's not super pronounced, but it is unique.
Lamb is ready. The 2-2 again. That pitch just misses low.
Well, that was a spinner that was so much slower than her other deliveries.
47 miles an hour according to TrackMan.
Right.
That is definitely the slowest pitch she's thrown, and 20 miles an hour off of her fastball.
Passed the eyeball test.
Stejskalova did not offer. This one in on the hands, popped up. It will make the screen and pop back to Tiscaronis. She was looking for a play, but it had already hit the screen above us.
So from 47 to 67, that was the next pitch. That's the name of the game right there.
That is the definition of changing speeds. As Lamb was just about ready for the payoff pitch, but Tiscaronis out of the crouch and asked for time. It's granted.
There, with 7 seconds left, they almost got down too close to the 5-second mark.
With 4 seconds left, Lamb delivers, again in on the hands and again fouled off. This is a good at-bat on both sides. Lamb is hitting her spot inside on the hands. Not much that Stejskalova can do with that pitch. Meanwhile, Stejskalova knows that so long as that pitch is going to be there, all she has to do is get a piece of it and send it foul.
And this is also the part of the game where if you're Czech Republic, you start counting the outs and saying, okay, we need to get something going. We need some base runners.
Lamb is ready. Payoff pitch again, and that misses outside. Ball 4. That's the first time she's really missed on that pitch away from the plate. She's gotten a lot of Czech batters to offer at it, but this time instead of the strikeout, it is the free pass. It is the third time Czechia has had the leadoff runner on, although one of those times the leadoff runner was on and then off.
To go with the hit batter, so it's only the fourth base runner at all in this game. Kendra Lamb has looked very sharp.
Infield way in on the corners. Bunt shown. It's popped up, but will make the screen out of play. And will be fielded by Georgia Hood about even with Kayla Tiscaronis and home plate. She was charging right in. She's even maybe a step in front of her pitcher, Lamb, as Lamb delivers. Shaylin Watman also in at third base. So this is the crash defense. Nothing and 1 the count. Slaninova waits the pitch in on the hand and strike called. Slaninova looked like she was going to offer. It almost doesn't matter if she did. It was a strike regardless. Nothing and 2 the count.
And I was looking at the flags in right field. 2 seconds ago, they were all blowing straight out as if there was a gale. And now they are almost all at rest.
0-2 pitch coming from Lamb. Pitch is high. And Slaninova does not offer. Good idea by Lamb there. That's a pitch that won't hurt her. Certainly not if contact's made. And this time she can't get the swing. So 1 ball, 2 strikes. Runner at first base. Infield a couple steps back, except for Georgia Hood, who's a few steps in at first. Lamb delivers, misses outside, snap throw to first, and back is Stechilova, as that was a late dive. The snap throw was behind. It was going to be a tough play over at first base anyway, especially as Hood is a right-handed hitter, so left-handed glove, and that went well to her left-hand side. So the count 2-2. Lamb delivers, in on the hands again, fouled off again. Slaninova is fighting to stay alive. 2 good at bats so far in this inning for Czechia. And this is about the moment in a game where you start to understand exactly what the opposing pitcher has. A couple times through the order, the wealth of information from your teammates and your coaches on what they've been able to pick up during the game. 5th, 6th inning is normally when a starter gets touched up here at the World Cup. This is popped up on the infield. Whitefield will move over right behind second base. She will make the catch, and that's out number 1. So pop up to second, and Slaninova is retired.
That was a good battle. There were a lot of different pitch choices that Kendra Lamb had to throw. And in the end, it was the rise ball up and in, and Slaninova could not quite get around on it, especially after all the change of speeds. You know, throwing off the timing of the hitter, that is just the art. That's the kernel in the middle of this art form.
Now, quite an interesting at-bat as Furkova will foul that away. She lanced a 2-2 pitch down the right field line past the dive of Keevers into the corner and all the way around to home plate she ran. The challenge at home, as it turned out, to see if she touched the base. She did. Now Australia without a challenge. That run, the lone one for Czechia, and Furkova will line this one right back up the box for a base hit. So she's 2 for 2, has 2/3 of Czechia's hits. Don't look now, but Czechia is threatening with 1 out here in the 5th. They've got runners at first and second, and the top of the lineup due.
Yeah, Carrie Porter out of the dugout into the circle to chat with Kendra Lamb and the rest of the team.
And we've got some high fives, and that appears to be the end of the day for Kendra Lamb. Indeed it is, and that summons one Kaya Parnaby for Australia. So Lamb will depart. Well, at least for now, and we have to say for now, as Morgan Reimer for Canada started the game against Italy, went 4 1/3, and ended up finishing off her own win, coming out for another inning in 2/3 after Sarah Groenwegen came in 1/3 of an inning, coughed up the lead in the 7th.
Yeah, we saw a lot of action in that first game. This game, with the exception of that it's lower scoring, kind of has a similar feel. Czechia has been able to score that 1 run. They've put some base runners on. They've had some good swings, but Kendra Lamb, with all the strikeouts, has been able to really make some really quality pitches when she's needed it. And now this is, I think, a very good strategic decision from Carrie Porter. Kendra Lamb has done probably more than she was asked at the beginning of this game, and this is going to be a committee exercise for Australia anyway. Kaya Parnaby, one of the most decorated pitchers on this team, of course, no stranger to international competition. She's one of the Olympians on this Australian team. We saw all the Olympians on the field earlier today, and there's 4 more here in this game on the field, as we've seen already the others that have been in the lineup. That was Tits Cronus and Jade Wall. Ellen Roberts, the other, is in the dugout for Australia. So Kaya Parnaby coming in to try and get some more outs and get through this inning and prevent the tying run from scoring. They are on base right now, and Veronika Klimplova, the top of the order, she's one of the big hitters for Czech Republic. She has hit big home runs in her career. Did one to beat Canada this past summer at the Canada Cup.
And Carrie Porter here absolutely playing the lefty-lefty matchup. The top 3 batters in the Czech lineup are all left-handers, and in comes their left-handed pitcher in Parnaby.
Well, that home run that Klimplova hit was against Morgan Rackel, a left-hander very similar to Kaya Parnaby.
So we're in for a good at-bat here. Runners take their leads off first and second. Parnaby is ready and delivers. First pitch is in for a strike. As we noticed this during the 2024 World Cup, but Parnaby takes as long as she can in the circle for the most part. She was the workhorse, certainly in 2023 in Balbriggan, Ireland, as Australia winning the repechage game there. Klimpova swings through that one and misses, nothing into the count.
That was a good pitch in on the hands, lefty on lefty. Parnaby, who had a 1.17 ERA in the World Cup in 24 and pitched only 4 1/3 innings in the World Games last year.
0-2 pitch coming, and that misses low. Klimpova, for what it's worth, has not particularly looked like she's eager to swing at this moment. I would not be shocked if she was told to see a few pitches, and certainly has been able to see that, I wouldn't call it a sinker, but almost a changeup from Parnaby down low. 1-2. This is chopped towards first base, but foul. Fielded expertly by Hood regardless, but she'll just flip it back to her pitcher. We'll do it again.
Parnaby, the 2013 Pitcher of the Year for the University of Hawaii. And she was one of the players that helped them reach their first ever College World Series in 2010. And as you mentioned, debuted around that time, 2010, with Australia, right? 2010?
2009
yeah.
She debuted, but was actually inspired to play softball at the 2000 Olympics in Sydney. And of course, there is a member of a staff that may end up on the Japanese national team who pitched in that game, in Yukiko Ueno. She, of course, one of the top pitchers at the 2024 World Cup as Japan won the World Championship. 1-2 pitch swung on and missed at a ball down in the dirt. Klimpova does not notice that it was down. She'll walk back to the dugout, but both runners advance.
Well, Parnaby getting the strikeout on that pitch that dove down and away from the left-hander, but it also advances the runners.
So a productive out, although not exactly how you would draw it up. As we look at that pitch again, it just bounced off the glove of Tiscaronis. And fortunately, the short backstop here, backstop space, kept that ball close to the field of play. So now a difference in the circle, as we will have a pinch hitter for Molintova. It is
Mikhaila Churlova.
She is actually taking over at third base. We have multiple changes, as Kurlova will be the runner at third, and stepping in is Kavanova, Magdalena Kavanova, another member of this Youters Prada club. So Kavanova is in, and she will bat. Parnaby is ready. She delivers. First pitch to Kavanova is in for no, just misses low, ball one. Looks like it might be a late strike call, but ends up being ball one. Meanwhile, over at third base for Stechkolova, we have the pinch runner, Kurlova. The 1-0. That misses inside, 2 balls and no strikes.
Well, a 2-out hit here could tie this game. And so what a spot to pinch hit for Kavanova.
2-0 pitch coming from Parnaby. That is in for a strike.
Well, she tried twice on the inside corner, didn't get it, so she tried to go through the back door, and that time it worked.
So now 1 strike, 2 balls, 2 outs in the inning. Runners at second and third. The tying run at second here in the top of the 5th, as Parnaby delivers and misses away. 3 balls, 1 strike. That pitch well outside the zone, but it doesn't look like that was the intent.
Well, this is dangerous territory here. 1 bad pitch away from loading the bases for Barbara Saviola, one of the best hitters in the lineup. Yes, another lefty, but boy, do you really want to load the bases for her.
3-1 coming. Kaya delivers. This is skied down the third baseline. It will make the seats and probably off the cliff edge here in the north of the city. There's a decent amount of foul territory in the park. There is not so much foul territory outside of the park, as there is this steep drop down from the precipice on which the stadium here, Swoboda Park, is located. Payoff pitch coming from Parnaby. 2 outs, 2 runners in scoring position. She induces the swing and miss, and that will retire the side. So Kaya Parnaby comes in, strikes out 2, and strands 2 runners in scoring position. That's 4 runners left on for Czechia as we head to the bottom of the 5th. The score, Australia 3, Czechia 1, here at the WBSC Women's Softball World Cup. Bottom half of the 5th inning. A couple changes for Czechia. Runners and batters they took out of the game last inning back in, and a new pitcher on the hill. It's Veronika Peskova. Takes over for Katerina Kindermanova after 4 innings, 5 hits, 3 runs all earned for Kindermanova. A walk and 4 strikeouts. But she departs here with trailing by 2, as now Peskova will take over. Longtime member of this Czech squad, making her debut back in 2014, a member of the Diablos Rojas de Mexico. And did have a bit of a rough time at the European Championship. 2 starts, 3 1/3 innings pitched, 11 walks, 6 strikeouts, 5 earned runs, 7 total. It's not the European Championship she was looking for, as ball 2 misses outside.
This is her World Cup debut, however, and she has quite a career statistic line in the Czech League. She's pitched 3 complete game 1-hitters this year alone as of June. The season, of course, is on pause until about mid-August here in Czech Republic.
2-0. That misses down low. 3-0 the count.
She has a .89 ERA with 161 strikeouts, which is almost double the number 2 pitcher in the league, which is her teammate here, Anna Zulova. She has 96. That's, of course, in the domestic league here.
Olivia Elliott 0 for 2, but ahead in the count 3-0, and she will walk on 4 pitches, so not the start Peskova wanted. She issues the free pass on her first 4 pitches. That will bring up Whitefield, who has scored a run today after singling back in the 3rd inning, 1 for 2, also struck out. He's the second batter of the game against Kindermanova. Now she'll step in from the right side.
Peskova's job is to just hold this right where it is, because Czechia, they've been able to put pressure on. They haven't been able to get the big hit when they've needed it, but they've had base runners on. And if you keep a game like this close at 3-1, you're always just a couple of swings away from getting right back in it. And especially in front of the home fans with all the energy in the crowd, you never really know what might happen. So Peskova obviously knows this, but is struggling to find the strike zone at the moment.
5 straight balls. The pitch here misses up and just up. That is ball 2, and the 6th consecutive since entering this game. Peskova was a member of the Czech national team, but not part of their last World Championship back in long tenured member of this program.
Taking quite a lot of time.
And there we go. Is the clock reset? Must have been a reset there, but the 2-0. This is inside. Actually, no, it's a strike over the inside part of the plate. This is the disadvantage of sitting directly behind home plate with a bit of a monitor. That pitch was in our vision, and then it wasn't.
Yeah.
Anyway, that is strike one. First strike delivered by Peskova. Now we'll see if Whitefield gets the green light. That pitch thrown directly back to the backstop. Up to second base unopposed. On the wild pitch is Elliott.
Well, that one.
That was thrown at me.
All the way on the fly back to Slaninova, who caught it. That ball never touched the ground.
It was a very hard thrown pitch. We'll see. Yeah, almost 70 miles an hour on TrackMan.
Now, Peskova is, I believe, the hardest thrower on the staff. But as you can see, the issue is getting the ball over the plate. When she's in the zone, she's very effective.
3-1. That a beautiful pitch. Dropped right in there to run the count full.
Now that had 8 inches of induced vertical break and 9 of horizontal break at 65.
Peskova also uses the crow hop. You do see that a bit more often in Czechia. Of course, that a relatively new rule change, but present in men's fast pitch softball for a long time. So that's fouled away by Whitefield. The count remains full.
And you can see sometimes she lands with her momentum sort of dropping her off to the third base side of the circle.
It's very noticeable in particular because of how tall and lanky Peskova is. When that hop happens, she gets another 6 inches of vertical height. And that has to be a bit disconcerting for a batter to see a ball suddenly jump up 6 inches before it comes at you. As that pitch misses high, ball 4. So back-to-back walks issued by Peskova. Now runners at first and second, nobody out here in the bottom of the 5th. And Tiscaronis is coming up.
Well, these are the hitters Australia wants to see in this situation. They struggled offensively in the last World Cup, batting only .221 in the entire series. They scored 8 runs over the course of the action in 2024.
Their only win coming incidentally against Italy.
Yep.
First pitch misses in for a strike. Excuse me.
That was a nice one. 70 miles an hour. And it was tailing in on the right-hand hitter.
And while we're not going to give you all of the spin rate because we do want to retain some of our audience, that spin rate is one of the highest we've had, about 1,500 RPMs. Peskova getting the ball to move, showing bunt at Tiscaronis. She offered at it, but comes up empty. Strike 2.
And that was almost an identical pitch. Located a little bit lower in the strike zone, but so much spin, so much movement, Tiscaronis just bunted right through it.
And Peskova really wants to get Tiscaronis here because waiting on deck is Shaylin Watman, who has scored 2 of the 3 runs, has 2 of the 5 hits, and one of those hits, last time up, the 2-run shot, that has us in the 3-1 situation we find ourselves. The 0-2 misses inside. Jackknifing out of the way a bit is Tiscaronis.
You can see how it would be very difficult to pick up the ball out of Petskova's hand. She's sort of leaping off the mound and her feet are landing on the first base side, and the ball comes whipping in on the hands of a right-handed hitter. A lot of different angles, a lot of arms and legs flailing at you.
2 seconds left. Peskova delivers and gets the swing and miss by Tiscaronis. First strikeout for Peskova. And that was either going to be a strikeout or ball 1, as there was almost no time left on the clock, and Peskova picks up the K.
And that ball dropping out of sight. 60 miles an hour, and all you can do if you're Tiscaronis, all you can do is tip your cap. This is why Peskova has the numbers she has in the Czech league.
But now she will deal with Watman. Runners take their leads as that pitch comes in and misses, ball 1. Watman has only seen 3 strikes today, and she has hit 2 of them. One of them quite far.
Well, the wind is blowing that way again, quite hard.
The 1-0 showing bunt, and that is in on the hands. Ball gets away from Slaninova. I thought she almost made contact with that, but apparently that's just a wild pitch.
Except nobody advanced because the ball caromed Oh, they did advance, excuse me.
Both Elliott and Whitefield advanced. Our view obscured for a second here, but that ricocheted so violently that it looked like a foul ball. But now there are two runners in scoring position, and all Watman really has to do is lift something to the outfield.
I think Slaninova might have thought that she bunted at that pitch as well.
Peskova delivers the 2-0. That's a strike. And the head bob version of a fist bump from Slaninova, who was, dare I say, quite excited that pitch was in the zone. Little head bob to the side.
It was a good change of pace, but if that ball's over the plate, it's very hittable.
2-1 coming. That is chopped towards short. Vojakova will fire it across the diamond. The ball gets away from the first baseman for Kova. A run comes in to score as Elliott will scamper home. Up to third base is Whitefield, and Watman will reach.
Well, you know, the shortstop, Vodichkova, did a great job. She made that play with her momentum carrying her towards third base. She looked the runner back, made a very good off-balance throw, but it was a little bit to the home plate side of first base, and it went off the glove of Forkova. Let's look at it again. Look, she looks at third and then makes the throw, and you could see
Elliott was halfway home, and the moment that ball left the hand, Elliott scampered right home. So 4-1 the score now. Runners remain at second and third base as Georgia Hood takes a ball down and in.
We'll see if that's going to be an E3 or an E6. The throw was a little bit offline, but it looked like it was catchable at first base. And after the initial very good play, unfortunately they could not execute the end of it.
Now Peskova, the 1-0 pitch coming to Georgia Hood. That pitch is in for a strike. Grabbing the inside part of the plate. Peskova, when she has her command, is very good at spotting on the inside part of the plate. The same thing we saw from Kendra Lamb for Australia. However, the danger there is that if you miss inside on the plate, particularly with a fastball, that can get hit very hard, very fast. As time asked for and granted by Peskova. Back in play. 1-1. That is chopped towards third base, but foul. As the left fielder will come grab it, Molintova.
That indeed was an E3, error on the first baseman. As Forkova unable to corral that throw.
Now Georgia Hood looking to extend this lead here in the bottom of the fifth. Peskova, for what it's worth, seems wholly reliant on the dugout for all of her signals as she delivers. That pitch is in there, called third strike. No argument from Hood. Second strikeout by Peskova, as that is out number 2 in the inning. So Peskova working the count back, and she gets Hood.
And Slaninova was already celebrating the strikeout and had to wait for the delayed call from home plate umpire Galip Sunmez. And there was a brief moment of fear that perhaps that wasn't going to be called a strike, but indeed it was. It was a very good pitch right on the corner.
Jade Wall steps in now. First pitch all the way to the backstop. Running home is Whitefield. She's safe as she gets in just in time. The throw coming to Peskova.
Very close play.
Wild pitch will score. That is the second wild pitch of the inning as Watman up to third base. And Wall, it's ball 1. Apologies there, Tim. As the action happening quite quickly. It was a decent throw, a snap throw from Slaninova, but too high. And by the time that Peskova corralled that, sliding home safe was Whitefield. So now over at third base is Watman. The 1-0. This is down in the dirt, 2-0. Jenna Trim would be next, 0 for 1 with a walk.
Wall with a single today. Reached on a fielder's choice.
not just the first error of this game. We had a few in the first game, but this has been relatively well defensively played, with the perhaps exception of the ball that got by Shannon Keevers for the inside the park home run. Although, as our scoring team here for the WBSC has decided, very much not her issue, as that ball was going to get away. The only question was double, triple, or home run, and it ended up being the full Monty, as it were. Meanwhile, the 3-0 coming from Peskova, and that is in there for a strike, Wall taking all the way.
Peskova, because of her long arms and legs, if one thing is tight, just a tiny bit out of whack, the ball is way out of the strike zone. She's yanked a few of them. She's thrown some incredibly good pitches.
3-1 coming, and that is a strike. And Jenna Wall with a bit of a sheepish look there, as she had taken 2 steps to first base and then decided it was also a strike.
That ball dropping in 10 inches of induced vertical break.
So full count, 2 outs, runner at third, 1 run, 2 runs already home for Australia. As this is chopped towards short, up with it, Volchikova. She fires to first, and that will end the inning. But 2 more runs for Australia. They now have a 5-1 lead here at the WBSC Women's Softball World Cup. Back here at Swoboda Park, Chris Knobloch, Tim Collins bring you all the action here at the WBSC Women's Softball World Cup Group Prague. Game 3, technically, but it's the second game of the day. We'll have game 2 after this. Don't worry, stick with us. We'll explain the whole thing. As Australia has the 5-1 lead over Czechia. Here in the top of the 6th, Kaya Parnaby back out for another inning of work as she deals with Barbara Saviola. Is 0 for 2 with a pair of strikeouts as she sends that one foul up the first base line. Good giving chase, but that will stay well in foul territory.
Parnaby made such a big pitch to get out of that 5th inning, getting those final 2 strikeouts. She fell behind Molentova 3-1 and was 1 pitch away from loading the bases to face Saviola here. And as Ted came back and got that strikeout, that's a major turning point because Australia obviously tacking on a couple more runs. Opened up a 4-run lead here.
That pitch missing down in the dirt. Skronis digs it out, but it's 1-1. As mentioned, this is technically game 3, but the second game here. As this game getting swapped with the Cuba Chinese Taipei game. That'll be at 9:30 local time, or a half hour after this game ends, which is more likely the case, it being 8:50 p.m. here in Prague. So we'll have that game half an hour after this game ends.
But so far, both of the games have been highly competitive affairs. Nothing feels out of reach for either team. Yes, a 4-run lead, but 4 lead that's nothing.
Absolutely right. And again, it speaks to the parity that we are now seeing across world softball. The 18 teams that have qualified for the World Cup, whether they are hosts, the wild card, have won their continental championship, or have qualified for their continental championship as the 2-2 pitches chopped foul. We are starting to see an evening of the skill levels. And I think our first indication of that was in the last World Cup. You saw teams like Great Britain beating Australia and Chinese Taipei. You saw some interesting results in Valencia, including Cuba, a team that has been up and down, really challenging for a playoff spot. And you saw two European teams, the Netherlands and Italy, as the strikeout there for out number one. You saw two teams in Italy and the Netherlands try and win the first ever medal by a European side. The Netherlands coming within 3 outs of doing so before Callum, then Pilgrim, now Maskill, launched her walk-off grand slam for Canadian bronze.
So that was some kind of finish to that whole series.
1-0. Big swing and a miss.
When I was in Valencia, that was also a very evenly matched up group. And I can vouch for the fact that the teams that did not make it out of that round, certainly, the ball bounces another way, and the final results could have been very different.
1-1 is chopped to second. Whitefield up with it. She snaps the throw to Hood, and that is out number 2. 4-3 goes the out. As some people may know, my day job is back in the United Kingdom working with the Great Britain national team, and to be there in Ireland, a country that had never hosted before, as part of an all-European World Cup. 3 nations that had never hosted the World Cup before, and now Czechia and Peru being added. That will be 15 nations that have hosted a World Cup game, an entire increase of 50% in just 2 competitions.
And you can see what it does to the development, the pipeline of talent. Suddenly you have kids. Look around the ballpark here in Prague. Just off to the right, off the right field side, there's a bunch of kids throwing balls into radar guns and hitting balls off tees into bouncy houses. And this is what they want to do. This is how you get the new generation. This is how you develop the sport. This is how you spread the love for the game. The game itself is the advertisement. You don't need to do any other shenanigans.
2-0 coming from Parnaby. It's popped up foul. We're going to make the seats out of play. It also happens to drive home the point, and this is made much, much more real by the Olympics being part of this competition and coming up in 2 years, that you can get there from here, wherever here is. It could be a field in Czechia, it could be a field somewhere in South America, it could be a field in Oklahoma City, the home of softball, and it doesn't matter. That is lined out towards left field, dives from both Watman and Giros, but neither were going to come up with that one. It is a base hit, and with 2 down, Wojcikova is aboard. That will bring Slaba up. And as we take a replay at that, that was a hard hit ball. And the double dive coming up only with air should give you an indication of just how hard that was hit.
And that's what Czechia needs. They need some base runners, and they need somebody to bop one out of here. Gabriela Slaba, 0-2. Another left-hander. A lot of left-handers in this lineup.
First pitch coming from Parnaby. A big cut coming up empty for Slava. Strike 1. But going off of the expanded World Cup, not only is there the opportunity to become world champion, which in its own right is a worthy goal, as Slava swings and misses there, 0-2. But now there is the opportunity to get to the pinnacle of all sport, the Olympics. Not only that, but this Olympics taking place in the United States. Baseball is going to be in Los Angeles, softball in Oklahoma City. We are going to see the Olympic venue used for this World Cup as Slava swings through that one, striking out. That is Parnaby's 4th strikeout and the 11th strikeout so far for the Australian pitching staff. Czechia strands another runner aboard. They have stranded 5 runners through 6. We head to the bottom half of the inning. 5-1 Australia over Czechia here at the WBSC Women's Softball World Cup. Sixth inning here, bottom half. Australia with the 5-1 lead over Czechia, as it will be Trim, Giros, and Keevers, the bottom third of the Australian lineup, due up against Veronika Peskova. Out for her second inning of work. Roughed up a little bit, but not helped by the error by the first baseman for Kova, who has both given with the inside the park home run and taken away with the error in this game. That is the lone run and the lone error for Czechia so far. Peskova with 10 seconds left on the clock deals with Jenna Trim. 0 for 1 with a walk. Pitch is low and inside for ball one.
Overall, not a bad outing, though, for Katarina Kindermanova. Of course, she gave up 5 hits and 3 runs, but she had 4 strikeouts and only the 1 walk. She made some very good pitches when she had to. And you got to give Australia credit. The home run, obviously off the bat of Watman, is probably the big blow of this game at the moment.
But it's been a relatively evenly matched game. And again, we talked about this during the first matchup. It really comes down to situational execution at every step of this World Cup, whether it is an error, whether it is making your pitches, whether it is executing with runners on base. That is the difference between a win and a loss at the World Cup. Certainly was the difference between the win for Canada and the loss for Italy. And so far in this one, the miscue leading to a couple of runs and the home run, the other 2. Otherwise, this is a fairly evenly matched game.
Yeah, 1 swing and 1 error. And that accounts for 4 of the runs that Australia has scored.
Meanwhile, Peskova has fallen behind in the count 3-1 and just shook her head at her own dugout. Trim waiting. And Peskova delivers. It's down low, ball 4. Trim walks, and Peskova with the shrug towards home plate.
That is her 3rd walk to go with those 2 wild pitches last inning. And, you know, it's one of those things, if you're a little bit wild, you're probably less likely to get those borderline calls from the home plate umpire.
This is also something where the teams that have more experience at this World Cup level tend to be able to deal with the adversity a little bit better. That is not to say that teams like Czechia cannot deal with adversity. Certainly Italy, we saw come back multiple times in the game earlier. But we did see something similar with Italy's pitcher Ilaria Cacciamani, who, once she started not getting close calls, her body language changed. And certainly we saw that on the last at-bat of the game as this bunt shown. It's down low for Giros, up to second base. It will be another wild pitch, and Trim will be on second as the count evens at 1-1.
That ball ricocheted off the catcher Slaninova, who might have been shielded by the bat. But one thing I had to point out, when you look through from the center field camera, you see how tall Peskova is, and then you see the stature of Maya Giros at home plate. There's a little bit of that Judge Altuve vibe happening.
As now we are going to have a breakage of play as Slaninova looks like she got a piece of the ball, got a piece of her.
Must have hit
not
her
the other way around.
The back of the leg.
And she will be checked on by the training staff and her head coach, Mike Rennie. Again, we've got the next game coming up. That is Chinese Taipei versus Cuba. And then tomorrow starts our 4-game schedule. And Cuba is going to have a quick turnaround. They play at 10 a.m. Prague time against Czechia. Czechia, the home side for that. Tim will have the call for you. Followed by Chinese Taipei versus Italy. That's going to be a good one. That'll be at 1 o'clock Prague time. Australia and Canada will then do battle at 4 p.m. That's going to be a great matchup. And finally, the nightcap, an all-European affair. And a rematch from the European Championships. It will be Italy versus Czechia. We'll have all the action for you. I will have that last game myself, and then Tim and I will bring you both of the broadcasts between Chinese Taipei and Italy and Australia and Canada. We'll now have 4 games a day for the rest of the tournament. And following day 4, that's Friday, we will have the placements all set, and we'll know the schedule, well, most of the schedule for day 5. Meanwhile,
it's gonna be an exciting week, that's for sure.
Absolutely. Meanwhile, we are back in play, the 1-1. Showing bunt, pulling it back is Giros, and a good decision, 2-1 the count.
We should point out how difficult it must be to catch Veronika Petskova with her insane spin rates and all the movement and the velocity that she brings, and the slight control problems that she's also had. It is not an easy job. Slananova got nailed by that.
I wouldn't call it effectively wild, but what I would say, it is threateningly wild.
Yeah. It's an uncomfortable at bat. That much we can say for sure.
The 2-1. Showing bunt again is Giros, but she offered this time, and that will even the count at 2. Crashing in from third was Klimpova, and she took 2 steps in and then went into the crouch as Giros unable to make contact. So 2-2 the count. Runner at second base is Jenna Trim. Waiting on deck is Shannon Keevers, or actually it will be Pippa Adkins who's out on deck. The pitch misses inside, full count.
Well, everything down in this at-bat. Saw that one wild pitch that bounced away, and the others have all been at the knees or below.
It's almost like Peskova, and you mentioned this with the Altuve comparison. Peskova's having trouble getting the ball down low enough for it to be a strike for Giros. Payoff pitch, down low, ball 4. Slananova was ready to fire that around the horn, although there is a runner at second, so not entirely sure what she was thinking there, but the end result, 2 runners on, both by way of free pass. And that will bring Pippa Adkins off the bench. She will bat for Keevers, who struck out twice, once looking in the second and swinging in the fourth. Adkins, left-handed hitting outfielder, went 5 for 12 at the World Games with 3 runs batted in and a double. Originally from Broad Beach Waters, and she will not be traveling far from home. That is up in Queensland for next year's World Cup final. Although the caveat there is Queensland is quite a large state. She made her debut during the 2023 championship season, so this is her second World Cup participation, and she will once again, hopefully, participate in both the preliminary round and the final. So Australia will make it to the final one way or the other, although the teams in Pool Lima and Pool Oklahoma City would like them to win the pool or win the repechage game. That will create 2 wild cards out of the pools. Otherwise, Australia will be the first wild card, and then it will be the best team based on their previous World Cup placement as the second wild card after head-to-head. Count evens at 1-1 to Adkins.
And now it's Trim's turn to sort of step out and look at her cheat sheet on her right wrist after checking the science from Kerry Porter.
Adkins, a much taller batter than Giros, who's over at first base. Peskova a little bit more comfortable as Adkins shows bunt. She does not offer, and is ball 2.
That was close. And they're going to appeal, and third base umpire Dennis Cotorini says no swing.
No swing. But that's one of those plays. Adkins not quite slapping, but she had taken a step towards first base. One of those intermediate plays that you see sometimes with fast left-handed hitters in softball. The 2-1 pitch. That loops over the outside part of the plate. That was a gorgeous spot. Well, with the caveat that had Adkins swung at it, that could have gone a long way the other direction. But instead, it will even the count at 2. Still no outs in the inning. I wonder if we will see the runners off here to prevent the double play. The 2-2 down low, that will run the count full. Olivia Elliott waits on deck.
Well, another 3-2 count. A lot of pitches for Petskova. 4 walks already in 1+ inning.
Payoff pitch, and Adkins swings over it. Both Peskova and Slananova are fired up after that. That is the 3rd strikeout for Peskova, 7th strikeout for Czechia's staff. They've gotten the swings and misses, but unfortunately some of those pitches that weren't missed were hit a long way the other way. And when you look at the pitch sequencing, it makes a lot of sense how Czechia's been successful, but also has had the miscues.
That was the 6th full count pitch that Petskova has thrown.
Elliott shows bunt, pulls the bat back. It's a strike anyway.
Out of the 9 hitters she's faced.
She is definitely working for her paycheck today, as she has thrown quite a few pitches already in this one. 44, only 19 strikes. This is grounded past the batter and into center field, a base hit. The runner, Trim, will stop at third base, and a single for Elliott will load them up for Australia. Elliott has now been on base twice, 1 for 3 overall with the run scored, and that will bring up Whitefield.
And that was a bit confusing because Voritskova didn't really go to her left. I think she was expecting that perhaps the runner might cross in front of the ball, and instead the runner, Jenna Trim, stopped and waited for the ground ball to go by her. A
heads-up play by Trim, but it's almost as if Vojikova thought that Trim was a fielder there. The way that Trim stopped, might I also add, on a dime. It was very good base running.
She very politely let that ball go through.
But a smart play, a veteran play, as now the bases are loaded with one down for Tamika Whitefield. Whitefield has scored a pair of runs today, 1 for 2 with a walk. And she can break this one open if she gets a pitch to hit. So far, not the case. Ball 1.
Petskova has really been walking the tightrope.
And the thing is, they're very consistent pitches, but they are very consistent pitches that are out of the zone. They're all about 68, 69 miles an hour. All of them have about the same vertical, and many of them are hitting the same spot outside. As that pitch misses, hits the inside corner, strike 1.
That was another 1,500 spin rate rise ball with a 69 mile an hour velocity. High concentration moment now for Petskova.
1-1 the count. Runners look in. This is chopped right back up the middle, off the second base, back into center field. 1 run will score. Jenna Trim. In comes Maya Giros. 2 runs in. And Australia has opened up a 7-1 lead here in the bottom of the 6th inning. And now the winning run is standing at second base in the form of Olivia Elliott, as the run rule would come into play. That's a 7-run lead after 5 innings will end this game. And now that's what Mike Rennie is talking to his staff about, as it looks like we may also have some changes for Czechia.
Well, whatever he said, he caused Petskova to laugh quite hard. She had a big smile on her face. And so it's still a very relaxed bunch. You're trailing 7-1. It's the World Cup. The game is starting to slip away.
And well, everybody on the Czech team, we would assume, speaks Czech. There was still just quite a hilarious miscommunication. So Anna Zulova will come into the game after figuring out that that's what she's supposed to do. And she will take over for Peskova. Has to be said, a rough outing for Peskova. And she will want to get back out there pretty quickly. Get the taste of that outing out of her mouth. The final line, well, relatively final line, an inning and a third. 2 hits. At the moment, 4 runs, 2 earned, 4 walks, and 3 strikeouts. But she is responsible for all 3 runners on base. As now Zulova pitched 4 games, 2 starts at the European Championship, including a complete game. A 2.8 ERA, 4 walks, and 21 strikeouts in 15 innings. So she has good strikeout stuff and tends to have good command. She did allow the 15 hits, 1 per inning. And the hit here really, well, hit here, forget what I just said. It ends the game. 7-1 the score, winning run at second base for Australia. And given where we are in this game, Australia would love to shave half an inning off of this one. Gives them a few extra bullets in their arms later down the line. Appreciating that they've already qualified, if they want to win this thing, the more arms you have available, the better off you will be. As now Taylor Tiscaronis will stand in against Anna Zulova. Tiscaronis 0 for 3 so far. Still just the 1 out in the inning. And there's also been a change at catcher.
Andela Kopecka.
Kopecka into the game. Part of the Sabat Praha roster on the other side of the city. First pitch coming. Zulova delivers, and that is in for a strike.
Zulova this year in the Extra Liga has 12 complete games and 8 shutouts. She's one of only 2 pitchers in the league with double-digit wins. Well, she just replaced the other one. They both have 12. Petskova has 12 as well.
Taking a bit of time on the mound, 5 seconds to go. The 0-1. That is skied out towards shallow left center field. Center fielder is over. Savalova will make the catch. Runners cannot advance, and Tiscaronis is 0 for 4. Tired on the fly out to center field. But the danger exists still for Zulova, and she will now face the hottest hitter today for Australia, Shailene Watman. She's 2 for 3, and that's only because the error is responsible for her third at-bat. She made it as far as third base. That error scoring a run. She's also hit the 2-run home run, scored a pair of runs. 2 of the 7 Australian hits belong to their third baseman. She stands in here. First pitch, foul back off the screen in front of us. Strike 1.
Just checking to see if the fans behind home plate were awake.
And when we do say behind us, if you look at the screen, in between every pitch, we are sitting right behind the catcher, behind what we hope is the world's strongest glass.
Well, we've had one test of that.
And we're fine if there aren't any more. Just throwing it out there. 9 seconds. Zulova using as much of the clock as she can. She delivers. That pitch is outside. Ball 1. And Whitefield has to be a little bit careful over at first base. She took a big secondary lead, almost as if she forgot there was a runner at second.
Yeah, don't want to get picked off here, especially when you have the game-ending run already in scoring position.
And Verkova, for her benefit, over at first base, is holding Whitefield on. So the thoughts crossed her mind. The 1-1 is inside for a strike. A well-placed pitch. Zulova does not have the same arm that Peskova had, throwing only about 64, 65 miles an hour, but a very high spin rate.
Yeah, it's a very live ball coming out of her hand. And she appears, at least in the very early going, to have a little bit better command.
With 1 second left, she delivers, and that's fouled back. So we'll do that one again.
Trying to attack that strike zone and really pitch from in front of the count. It's a tough hitter like Shailene Watman. These are 2 teams, you know, Australia a bit more veteran, but they still have a lot of players in their mid-20s, as do Czechs.
And Australia really is trying to find their identity. Again, it was a disappointing 2024 Women's Softball World Cup for the Aussie side. They, well, for lack of a better term, squeaked through the opening round. They had to win the playoff and the repechage, and did so at the absolute last moment they could in Balbriggan. So they are looking to put on a good show for their home crowd. And this is part of that process. This is grounded towards third on Hop. Klimkova has it. She will take it to the bag herself at third base. And that will retire the side. But 2 more runs for Australia. They don't get the run rule done, though. And after 6 full innings, it is 7-1 Australia over Czechia at the Women's Softball World Cup Group Prague. Top of the 7th inning, and that is the score for Australia, 7-1. They had the lead over Czechia. Chris Knobloch, Tim Collins bring you all the action here from Group Prague of the WBSC Women's Softball World Cup. This is the first of the preliminary rounds, the final next year in Queensland, Australia. But first, the Australian side trying to put away their first win of the tournament. Czechia trying to stave off an 0-1 record, and they will have the bottom third of the lineup as Stechkalova will foul that one away for strike one. Kaya Parnaby back to work as 4 strikeouts through her inning and 2/3 of work. Part of the 11 strikeouts for Australia's pitching staff through the first 6 innings. Stechkalova waits for the pitch, the 0-1. Parnaby delivers, a floating pitch in there, and it's strike 2.
You know,
very off speed.
The score of this game does not really reflect the quality that it's been. It looks like it's kind of a blowout, but it really has not been. It's only the last couple of innings through the wildness and some off-speed pitches.
Check swing back to Parnaby. A low throw, and Hood goes to the scoop to dig it out, and she is laughing either hysterically or maniacally, but either way, she thinks that's a hoop. And that is out number 1. You know, pitcher fielding practice is a thing. So is pitcher batting practice, but we hear about that a lot less. So 1 down here in the 7th, and Parnaby will now deal with Flananova. First pitch just misses low outside, ball 1. Quite a head tilt there from Kaya Parnaby as she tried to figure out where that missed.
Well, she's trying to pound the bottom of the zone. That spin rate was up over 1,600.
Parnaby rocks. 1-0 coming. That is in there for a strike, right down the heart of the plate. I'm a bit surprised we haven't seen more challenge fastballs here in this inning, if only because of the 6-run lead. But Parnaby also trying to figure out what is most effective for her in her stage of her career. Grounded back to the pitcher. This a much stronger throw from Kaya Parnaby, and that is out number 2. I'm sure Georgia Hood will appreciate that.
Another cue shot, that one off the cupped end of the bat, rolling back to the circle.
These back and forth games tend to last a little bit longer than your standard softball game. We're at the 2-hour and 20 mark here, but you would barely notice it because of how back and forth it's been. So with 2 down, big cut, and coming up empty is Furkova. She was looking for the conventional home run there.
50 miles an hour on that off-speed pitch from Kaya Parnaby.
0-1 the count. Parnaby kicks. The bunt attempt right back to Parnaby. She will run past it and overruns it slightly. And Georgia Hood also thinks that's hilarious, but there will be a base runner as Furkova will reach for the 3rd time today. That will likely be an infield hit as Parnaby's momentum had already brought her past that ball. So 3rd hit of the day for Furkova. And the top of the order will come up. Klimkova with a runner at first and 2 down. Czechia not going quietly. They have 4 hits. If you take Furkova out of the lineup, they only have 1. So here's Klimkova. First pitch misses, ball 1. Klimkova 0 for 2 and has walked. She walked to lead off the game. .0 coming from Parnaby. Swung on and fouled off the umpire's left shoulder. That's a professional. He is unfazed.
He looks like a statue back there. And with the catchers moving all over, moving the targets from left to right, leaving him exposed, he has not given an inch.
Umpiring in the WBSC is not for the faint of heart. As time is called, that's why I sit behind this glass.
By the way, that was an E1. That little roller off of the bat of Furkova.
So I guess she will now be 2 for 3 as this is chopped towards short. Giros has it, fires to first. Scooping is Hood, and that will do it. As out number 3 corralled by Hood, and that ends the game as Australia will take this one by a final score of 7-1. In a game that took just over 2 hours, 2 hours and 19 minutes. here at Svoboda Ballpark. It was not all Australia despite the scores. Australia got a run in the bottom of the second, but Czechia would respond with Jana Furkova, the inside the park home run to put Czechia on the board. Furkova with 2 of the 4 hits for Czechia today. But then Australia would come back in the bottom of the third, 2-run home run by Shailene Watman. And from there, the Australians would tack on 4 more runs as we are actually in a video review, as I did not see the symbol for that. So this game not over. Might as well challenge at the end of the game. That's a fair point by the Czechs.
I didn't see
but
it either.
It is a challenge, not the end of the game.
They're challenging the play at first base, I presume.
I guess that would be the only play reviewable here. And if we look at the throw, the bounce, it's actually a worthwhile opportunity there.
Yeah.
I'd say that's definitely worth the second look.
So hold the phone on all the statistics that we just gave you.
Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
Yeah.
As we look at that throw from Giros, it was a low throw. It was dug out well by Hood. The only question is whether or not Klimpova's foot had come down. It would have been in between the safety bag and the first base bag. And I think that's probably where there would be some confusion over safer out, is if she hit the orange or the white and what time she hit them.
Well, the umpires are laughing about it. That's Renzo Ruiz at first base of Mexico, along with Galip Sunmez from Germany.
And for what it's worth, despite the score, despite this potentially being a game-ending play, you would never know it because both teams are having an absolute blast out on the field. And that, you know, as much as this is the world-class competition, it is this in the Olympics, there is nothing higher in our sport. This is also the same game that 2-year-olds, 5-year-olds play around the world that have created so many opportunities for so many people wherever they do play. As it looks like we will have a decision here, and that will end the game. So the call is upheld, and all those stats I said, remember them again, please. As Shailene Watman's 2-run home run, followed by 4 more Australian runs, the difference in this one. 7-1 the final score, as Australia improves to 1-0. Czechia falls to 0-1, but Czechia will have a couple games tomorrow in which they can get in the win column. That is going to do it for us here for the